He's like an actor. Damn it. This guy's annoying. I made a thread that was full of Vincent D'Onofrio stories, which are like ghost stories, but instead of ghosts, it's Vincent D'Onofrio. You can probably find the thread if you searched for it hard enough. So, for example, the OP of the thread was like, yeah, he was the bad guy in Men in Black 1, I think. Damn it. Please tell me this isn't like a spike. Oh, I could have been jumping on him the whole time. My jumps do more damage than my swings. Anyway, it was like a babysitter goes to... I forget what I wrote. I like just copy and pasted and then changed some things. Babysitter goes to a house to look after the kids, and it's like she looks after them all day, and then at the very end it's like oh yeah, the kids have been like super well behaved, but there's just one thing that's bothering me. Can I put a blanket over the statue of Vincent D'Onofrio in the backyard? It's really creeping me out. And then the parents say, call the police, we don't have a statue of Vincent D'Onofrio. And then I had a picture of him just standing in a... Oh yeah, that's it! Dude, this is literally my post. Someone took a screenshot of it. That makes me happy. I had a pretty good thread. I guess I'll read it aloud. I made like a bunch of them for that thread. I made like an entire I made like a bunch, and then a couple people posted ones that I didn't even make. But like there were a whole bunch. Alright, let's read it aloud. A few years ago, there's a wealthy couple who had 2 children, a boy and a girl. The family lived in a large house in Newport Beach, California. After taking care of their kids all week, the mother and father decided they need a break, so they booked a table for dinner at a nice restaurant. That evening, they called the teenage girl they knew and arranged for her to come over and babysit their children while they were out. When the babysitter arrived, the parents told her to fix supper and for the kids and put them to bed. After that, you can just watch TV and help yourself to anything in the fridge, said the father. And if you wouldn't mind, said the mother, could you watch TV in our bedroom? The kids have been having nightmares recently, so if you hear them crying, just go ahead and calm them down. The babysitter happily agreed. The parents left for the dinner date. The girl gave the children some milk and cookies and ushered them upstairs to bed. She started to read a bedtime story, and before long, little boy and girl were fast asleep. After tucking them in, she switched off the lights and went to watch TV. As time passed, the babysitter started to feel more uneasy. Finally, she decided to go downstairs and phone the parents. When she dialed the number they had left for her, the mother answered. Hi, it's me. Everything's fine. The kids are asleep in bed, but I was just wondering, would it be okay if I watched TV downstairs? Of course, but why? I know it sounds silly, laughed the girl, but the statue of Vincent D'Onofrio in your backyard really creeps me out. The phone went silent for a moment. Listen to me very carefully, said the father. Take the children and get out of the house. We will call the police. We don't have a statue of Vincent D'Onofrio. The fucking little picture, dude. Look at the little picture. Can you see it? Vincent D'Onofrio standing in a fucking backyard. He's just a random actor. He's like okay. He's like an okay actor. Anyway, just to meme on everyone. I made a bunch of ghost stories, but just replaced ghost stories with Vincent D'Onofrio. My shitposting is actually high level as hell. I do a lot of shitposting. But it's not like shitposting where I like create bad feels or anything like that. My shitposting is literally just gag posting. It's literally arbitrary. There's no reason it's D'Onofrio. Dude, you can't just say that and not link the thread. I want to read some fucking D'Onofrio stories. Once there was a nice old lady who had a lovely little dog. One day the old lady heard on the radio that a Law & Order episode was being filmed in her town. So that night she went to bed as usual. She knew everything was okay. She put her hand down, the dog licked it. But later on, she heard a drip, drip, drip. She put her hand down, the dog licked it, and everything was okay. So she went downstairs to check the tap, but the tap wasn't dripping, so she went to bed again. And everything was okay. She woke up later in the night, though. She heard the dripping sound must be coming from the shower, so she went to the bathroom, and there was her dog, drooling as it chewed on a fresh milk bone. Written on the mirror were the words, "Actors can lick too." Oh fuck, these are high level. I wrote that one. More. People were liking them. A teenage boy drove his date to a dark and deserted lover's lane for a makeout session. He turned on the radio for mood music, leaned over to whisper in the girl's ear, and began kissing her. Minutes later, the mood was broken when the music suddenly stopped mid-song. After a moment of silence, an announcer's voice came on, saying an episode of Daredevil was being shot in Buffalo, which happened to be located within a half-mile where they were parked, and saying cast members would be free to do autographs after the shooting. The girl became excited and asked to be taken there. The boy, feeling bold, locked all the doors and instead assured their date that they would get their chance, attempting to kiss her again. She was resolute and pushed him away, insisting that they go. Relenting, the boy peevishly jerked the car into gear and spun its wheels as he pulled out of the parking space. When they arrived at the girl's house, she got out of the car and, reaching to close the door again, began screaming uncontrollably. The boy ran to her side to see what was wrong, and there, stuck in the space between the door and the glass, was an autographed photograph of Vincent D'Onofrio. These fucking pictures, dude. The pictures make it. I just googled a shit ton of pictures of him. It was Halloween and a young woman was shopping at the mall. She had picked up some candy and chocolate to head out to the children in her neighborhood. After buying everything on her list, she paid for her purchases and carried the shopping bags to the car park. When she was loading her bags to the boot of her car, she noticed Vincent D'Onofrio with a large shopping bag approaching her. "Sorry to bother you," said Vincent D'Onofrio, "but I missed my bus. Would you give me a lift home? My legs are tired and I've been acting all day." The young woman was excited to meet a celebrity, so she said, "Of course, I'd be happy to. Hop in." She unlocked the door for Vincent D'Onofrio and helped him into the passenger seat. Then she walked around and got to the car herself. However, as she's about to drive away, the young woman noticed something that sent a chill down her spine. Vincent D'Onofrio had hairy arms. Something about the sight of those hairy arms made her extremely terrified. She picked up her purse and began searching through it. "Oh no," she said. "I can't find my credit card. I must have left it at the mall. Can you wait here for a few minutes while I go back and see if anyone's found it?" Vincent D'Onofrio nodded. The young woman returned to the mall and found a security guard. She told him about the actor in her car. Together they went back to the parking lot, but the young woman's car was empty and the passenger door was standing wide open. On the seat of the car was a large shopping bag that Vincent D'Onofrio had been carrying. Inside they found his cell phone and his autobiography. The tactical changes from these fucking original ones. The pictures, hold on, let me see if I can get them on screen. It's just pictures of Vincent D'Onofrio. I can't, I can probably blow them up. Maybe not. Maybe I can't blow them up. That's supposed to be an old woman with hairy arms, and then like the fucking bag has, I forget, it's got something spooky in it. But instead it's just things Vincent D'Onofrio would have. The boy and his friend were on their way home from a party, and driving down on a lonely country road, they saw Vincent D'Onofrio standing at the side of the road with his thumb out. The boy stopped to ask him if he'd like a ride. He asked them if they'd take him home. I'm going to pause this music. Hold on. I'm going to save state. And how do you pause? There we go. The boy stopped to ask if he'd like a ride. He asked them if he'd take them to his home, and they agreed. It was a very cold night, and he borrowed one of their overcoats. They drove down to his house and stopped and let him out. Suddenly one of the boys remembered he had forgotten to ask Vincent D'Onofrio for his overcoat. His friend said, "Wait till tomorrow, we'll come back." The next morning, the boys returned to look for Vincent D'Onofrio. They found his mother, a very old woman, at home. She said that Vincent D'Onofrio was her son, and he'd been a semi-reputable actor for 7 years. The woman pointed to a studio down the road. The boys didn't believe her and went to the studio and looked around. Then they saw the overcoat hung on a dressing room door. Written on the door was Vincent D'Onofrio's name. If you don't know that one, it's supposed to be hitchhiking, ghost hitchhiking, and then the coat's stuck on a grave. I never knew I needed D'Onofrio pasta in my life until now. Please more. This story is centered on a general store in a small town. I think this is my favorite. Two gentlemen who ran a store one day had the monotony of their daily chores interrupted by Vincent D'Onofrio, who, dressed in all grey, entered the store, picked up a glass container of milk from the dairy case, and then promptly walked out the door. Frozen for a few minutes by his audacity, the two men finally collected their wits and dashed out after him, but he was already gone. 2 days later, the incident occurred a second time. What's visible on screen here? The third time, the men were prepared. When he entered the store, they watched as he picked up a container of milk again and walked out the door. This time they raced after him, chased down the street, and finally down a dirt path to the edge of town where they lost sight of him. However, upon further exploration, the two men discovered a movie trailer where they could hear a baby's cries coming from inside. The men kicked down the door, and entering the trailer, they discovered a carriage with a live crying infant and 3 empty containers of milk. The child was abandoned, and Vincent D'Onofrio had kept the baby alive for several days until she was found. And then for that one, I found a picture of Vincent D'Onofrio holding a child. Fuck, these are so good. A college student was traveling home from school. As she entered one particularly long, dark stretch of forest, a car that had been following her suddenly raced up close. The driver flashed his lights. She accelerated in order to pull away, but the car kept pace and again flashed its lights. She accelerated again, but the car behind her kept up and continued flashing his lights. Within moments, the student saw flashing blue lights from an approaching police car. She pulled over to the shoulder and so did the car behind her. She watched as the police car pulled up behind them both. The officer quickly exited the car and then raced towards her. The officer pulled her quickly from the car, and before she could ask what was happening, he handcuffed her. He opened the back and said, "You can come out now. Are you hurt?" As the college student watched, Vincent D'Onofrio got out of the back seat of her car. As she was being handcuffed, the man who had been following her apologized and told the college student that he was flashing his lights every time the man would rise up from the back seat because he thought Vincent D'Onofrio was going to attack her, when in fact Vincent D'Onofrio merely thought he was being abducted and called the police. These spooky stories. 3 students discovered a rolled and discarded carpet on the sidewalk when returning to their dorms one day. They decided to bring it home with them to help decorate their shared space. When they reached the dorm, they unrolled the carpet to discover an unconscious Vincent D'Onofrio inside. Fuck. Late one night, a babysitter was all by herself putting the children to bed. The phone rang, and thinking it must be the children's parents, she answered it. The person on the other side identified himself as Vincent D'Onofrio and said he'd accidentally locked himself in downstairs. She hung up, thinking it was a prank call, but the phone rang again. The babysitter answered it only to hear the same desperate plea. Babysitter was annoyed now, so she called the operator and asked the call be traced. When it rang a 3rd time, she heard the supposed Vincent D'Onofrio again, claiming he was downstairs and couldn't get the door open to leave, before she hung up. The operator called back almost immediately, surprising the babysitter by telling her that the call was coming from inside the house. Oh, that's all of them. Spooky stories! Spooky Vincent D'Onofrio stories. That was a good thread. I don't want to brag, but I'm like a master memer. I was like sad because I like made all of these and then like fucking the thread didn't even take off. I thought other people would start contributing. They're not hard to make. You just take a ghost story and then you fucking swap the ghost for Vincent D'Onofrio. You literally don't even get to play as Peach.